All right, everybody, we are back with another episode of Bigger and Louder podcast. As always, I'm Handsome Face Anthony.
And I'm Johnny D's Nuts.
Oh, man. And again, can't thank you guys enough for listening and tuning to us. As we mentioned last episode, we were a little bit on hiatus just because of personal issues, personal things in our lives. But we're back recording, talking about all the fun pop culture stuff that we care about, that probably you don't care about. But nevertheless, we're going to try and make it entertaining. We're going to switch it up a little bit here. We want to bring in one of our old segments, which is like Get the Fuck Out of Here, which is typically a topic that one of us is really very passionate about and that we're griping over. And I think Johnny D has got something to gripe over. So I'm going to hand over to John. He's going to take over what his Get the Fuck Out of Here moment is all about, man. So take it away, man.
Oh, my God, Anthony, thank you. And I got to tell you, get the fuck out of here to all these entitled parents who disrespect the rules at school parking.
Disrespectful parents?
Pick up and drop off at school is a fucking nightmare right now. And I swear, dude, like I already had a blow up once. And I'm the PTO president, and I don't want it to happen again. But we at our school don't have a structured pickup policy. It's find a parking spot, come and pick up your kid, and leave. And I'm frankly like over it. Parents block. They just think that they can park in the middle of the street, double, sometimes triple park, put their little hazard lights on and unload their kids and block the road. And I'm talking like 8 to 9 cars deep on a barely 2-lane road when there's parking.
Mm-hmm.
In the parking lot, for that matter, they don't obey the lines, the directions out of both ways to get out of the parking lot, dude. At our school, you have to make a right because it's a super busy road. These assholes will take their precious time and put everybody else on the back burner to make a fucking left. And I got to tell you, get the fuck out of here. It's disrespectful. What are you teaching your kids? That you're better than everybody else? I'll teach them the other way. I'll show them the other way.
We got to remember, man, it's not the kids, man. It's not the kids' fault.
It's the parents' fault, right? It's that behavior, Anthony, that translates. They're watching their parents say, oh, we're better than everybody else. We're cutting the line. We're going to make the left. So to me, it's really more about respecting everybody else's time and safety. Like you can't block an entire lane of traffic down a 2-way street during lunch because people use that road. There's other schools on that road. There are houses there. And if you're parked waiting for your kid to come out, you're blocking traffic. And it's dangerous because that means somebody now has to go all the way down the wrong, usually the wrong way, down the other side of the road and pray no one else is coming the other direction. Right around the corner.
Right.
They know because these people deal with it. They complain to the school about it, but still nothing's been done. So you are not more entitled to your time than we are ours at recess or something.
Well, so here's the thing. Do you think here's the thing, man. Do you really believe it's actually related to more of like entitlement, or do you think it's just more like stupidity, common sense, ignorance, and maybe a bit naive of these adults?
No, I think there's a line. There's
no pun intended. No pun intended. There's a line.
Yeah. Will be pun intended. There's a line that I feel you shouldn't cross where it's like, okay, if there is no parking in the front of the school and there's 350 kids in the school that need to get picked up and everyone's parking in the red and kind of like in the do not park zones, as long as you're not blocking an unwritten rule, don't block someone's driveway in the neighborhood, right? Everyone's kind of parking wherever, around the curves and right in front. We all have to suck it up and do that. Okay. That's one of how we operate as an unwritten rule. We also will park not at the stop sign, but where you're not supposed to park at stop signs because there's no parking. The church, because this is a Catholic school, is going to be doing a parking lot repave and relining and removing, at the principals in my recommendation, some of these trees that are in the parking lot that just make it a big nuisance for parking, right? They're going to just pave everything over and make straight lines. And I think that will really help. But they right now just don't even park in the spots, or they'll take up 2 spots because they're driving a G-Wagon. And, my Mercedes SUV gets priority over this guy's, Caravan or my Kia. Like, it's like, nah.
So why don't so how about this? Why don't, since you're on the Parents Association, and again, I know it's easier said than done because again, I'm not in the school district. I'm sure there's like zoning laws and ways in which to get things passed to do this, but like, why not kind of do it like in the movie Mr. Mom, where if you've ever seen that movie, Michael Keaton's movie, it's funny. Where it's like there's like it's drop off and pick up, where basically you have to do it the right way, where it's a one lane, right? Like you pick up is exactly between the time of it's between the time of, let's say, 3 to 4, where like, all right, it's first come, first serve, or you have to arrange it where students, it's like, okay, class 1, okay, your pickup time is between 3 p.m. to 3:15. Moms and dads, you have to be there at this time. If not, like, you got to circle around again, or you're shit out of luck. And again, it's just like, again, there's always a con to every pro, but like, and then vice versa. And like, in the end,
I love
pickup,
that idea.
right? It's like one way in, one way out. It's like, it basically prevents anyone from either cutting the line, double parking, triple parking, etc. So I'm just kind of concerned, like, if this has been an issue for you, I'm assuming it's an issue for other parents. One, like, has the school addresses or has mentioned in like a letter to the adults being like, hey, we are aware of this. Like, here's our plan over the next 6 months, or no?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I wanted to say, like, first of all, like, good idea. And like, your kids aren't in school yet, dude. So like, when you go to place them, like, these are things that you now know to look for, right? And for any other, like, soon to be toddlers that are going to be in preschool or kindergarten soon, look for that. It's the little things. So yes, I'm PTO.
So here's the thing, though. Just to your point, I want to add on because you brought so I'm already bringing my kid to school already. Like here's the thing of it. Like,
she goes to like daycare preschool, right?
It's like a pre-K, like where kids can interact. So here's the thing, like, just to your point, like about like the system we have here is there is no pathway, driveway, parking lot to drop these kids off. As a matter of fact, like, it's on the responsibility of the adults to park away from the school, and the parents must then escort their child into the school, and then at pickup time, it is your responsibility to pick your child up. But there is no parking. There's no school parking. You have to park on the street or adjacent parking.
Figure it out. Right.
You figure it out. So there is no cutting lines. There is no me before you before me. There is no sort of like, well, let me zip through here, kind of get to the grocery store. No, it's like you're on public parking.
Well, let me ask you a question. Would you be pissed if you were going to, like, let me ask you this classic question then. Would you be pissed if you were going to back in, like, I'm assuming that you're an excellent parallel parker like I am. So if you were going to go find a metered spot on your street, slide in, parallel park, and somebody just nosedived right in as you're going to back in and stole your spot, would you get pissed? And especially if they're
I mean, listen, I would. Well, here's the thing, man. Like, it's like pick your poison, right? Like, you can't have it all. You're either going to deal with shit in the parking lot of the school if they're willing to have that with like public parking, or you're going to deal with like street parking and like having to deal with you having to be there on time. Like, yes, there have been instances where I'm actually on the other side of that argument. I'm more the guy that, I just saw something open up. I'm the dude that actually cut across the fucking lane and zip in there and get it when I probably shouldn't, but like, it's all about
me and you coming to a front, like you cut me off, you steal my parking spot, and we both get out.
As a standard, we come out with
Godzilla, King Kong.
Yeah, it's like the Wild West. We come out our 6 shooters. All right, 10 paces and turn and fire. It's like, who gets the spot?
News update: we're changing schools. I paid my registration fee yesterday.
You're transferring school. Unbelievable. They're transferring schools, folks. They don't get the parking.
Right. That's the reason I left the park.
John, I hate to admit it, man. I think Southern California has got more problems than I think that you're willing to admit to it. Like, you
get out of here.
You hate the city. You hate the school system.
He's been waiting. I don't know. You've been waiting to get me to talk shit about California. It's not a California specific thing. He's been texting me, when you're going to move to Connecticut. Be my neighbor by the house across the street.
Won't you be my neighbor?
I'm like, did you not remember that in our first episode, you were like, it's the worst decision I ever made?
Oh, no, I didn't say it was the worst decision I ever made. I said I had to come to a compromise over location, not to say that moving was a bad idea. I will say the school systems here in the state of Connecticut are absolutely superb compared to most other states. They're phenomenal. That's one of the reasons.
My cousins went to Simsbury, which is like a top school in the state. Simsbury.
Yeah. They have this shit organized. I mean, they seem to have like they get it all down to us. They got it down to a science. Yeah, like the public schools here can probably, I say, would compete, if not would always be parallel to a private school elsewhere. Like that.
Let me ask you this:
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So your interpretation of the like kids that went to Catholic school in our area. So, upstate New York, we didn't really have, too many Catholic schools. We had, what was the name of it?
Burke.
Now, Burke Catholic. Thank you. Sorry, I was about to look it up. you got me. So Burke Catholic. And I had a couple friends that went there by choice, and my neighbors. But then mostly for me, it was like kids that got expelled from our school.
Pretty much, yeah. Like usually, like
So what was your interpretation?
That was literally what I was about to say. Like in most experiences, it's one of two things: either like you can't cut it in private school, public school, and literally you're either just like getting into either altercations, you're just feeling miserable. So like you try. That's the only alternative because you don't live in another. You're not zoned for another district to go to public school. So yeah, like usually you that's usually what happens with any other kids. But in this particular scenario or status quo, if you will, like yeah, kids typically and I think from what was witnessed is that you transfer from public school to Catholic school because like you're either a degenerate, you're not cutting it, and maybe the nuns will straighten you out. Or on the flip side, you're not getting the education that our tax-paying dollars are paying for this, so therefore we maybe go there to get a better education because it's either public, Catholic, or private, and usually private is way more expensive to send your kid away to live in a dormitory with other kids from the area. Like what's very popular, which I think a lot of kids
like a boarding school.
Yeah, boarding school with like Oliver Twist. Please, sir, can I have some more, please?
No, that was child slavery.
Okay, you ruined my. Anywho, but yeah, like I think in New Jersey, like, give me 1 second. Sorry, folks, I'm having a caffeine issue here. Like even like what happened was a lot of kids that I knew would transfer to Don Bosco Prep in New Jersey, which was considered like the closest thing you could get to what you might see on like a movie or TV series, but what a private school should be because of just what type of advantages you can get by networking there. If you want to play sports for after high school, like whether you want swimming, football, basketball, whatever it may be, like you had connections there, but you stayed at that school or you had the option to use Bergen Catholic too. So like, the point being is like back to like, why the public schools are so good in Connecticut and why kids are not really in that kind of umbrella is because it comes down to dollars and cents. They pay their teachers a better salary in most places in Connecticut. That's why the public school system here is a lot more better versus sending your kid to a private school where you're paying your teachers a better salary and therefore they're going to care more about their job and care about the curriculum and care about seeing these kids succeed. Despite the fact that, the whole, no child left behind that, but like they're going to make sure these kids get the best education they can get compared to other students. And that's why in Connecticut, they really have like moved their dollars around to invest in the teacher salary.
Yeah. And I agree. I think it's like there's more flexibility there from like what the public education offers. And I think there needs to be like a real overhaul of the public education system in Cali and across America. But for us, like, my wife went to Catholic school. Like, I agreed with it because, again, it's like you kind of like pigeonholing yourself.
And listen, some parents believe in religion in school. Like, to be frank, like they really stand by like religion, God, whatever your religion is. If there's a school to teach you such things, like they really stand by like these are like family. And again, like it's kind of like a weird twist because it's like the family's views are being passed on to the child's views, which they don't know any better because if you're growing up, like you're going to do what your parents say. So like you really don't have much of a say or really know like the background of it. But like if you told a 25-year-old, like, listen, like you're in a Catholic school and you're more aware of who you are, the world in which you live in, you might be like, well, no, like that doesn't fit me. But it's just kind of like a weird thing that like forced this life onto a child that they don't know any better. So, but
I think
find that as
yeah, I agree. That's a good perspective, dude. Like, that's a good perspective to have because it's like you don't necessarily want to indoctrinate, right? But I think
it happens.
Like, to me,
it happens
like,
all the time.
It does happen, but like for me, it's less about the religious aspect of it and more about the fundamental, like, it's the curriculum, educational curriculum, like that. I think it's just like on a different tier, but then it's also, the character building, right? And like I'm not the best. I'm not like a Catholic, right? Like I don't necessarily go to church.
You don't practice. You don't practice as much.
Right. I'm not. But like that's the way I was raised, and I think it's like all the Bible aside, the thing, like, you just do unto others, right? Like, it's not even a commandment, but like, if you live by, like,
as we think of those who trespass against us.
I think it's just like, it's important to kind of keep that all in perspective and not totally, how do you say, like, get caught up in the religious aspect of it, but know that it's like those fundamentals, like, if you don't covet someone else's wife, and you don't lie to your parents, and you respect your parents, and you don't steal, don't murder, those kind of things, like, those are solid societal rules. Like, don't necessarily have to be religious. It's like the same thing. Like, there are many religions that like have respect to nature. Like, I think
what the bitch of it is, though, to your point. But what the bitch of it is, though, to your point. Let's just say that, yeah, there are, because it's easy for someone like you and I, or any adult between the ages of 28 and older, to see that as a value, because you realize just exactly how cruel the world is. And you're like, wow, these are really cool values to hold in your adult world. But when you're between the ages of 8 to, let's say, 15, and you're in school with someone who literally practices that in their own way, there's always those kids you knew who just like were a bit off, or they didn't fit the social norms of like the groups that you associated with, etc. You knew, like, I remember there was like a girl that many years ago, like, literally was like, there is a structure, like, we must date before, we go to the next step. There's always these steps in which they're being taught these things. And the bitch of it is like, these are the kids that actually get dismissed early or get like bad raps in school, because you got the kids who are basically like doing their own thing over here.
Kids that don't give a fuck, that are little.
The kids that don't give a fuck, the little shits, and you get the 1% of the kids that literally will fall into a line of structure based upon like their upbringing, whether it's religion based or not, and they're the ones who might just be like, whoa, or they're the ones that you or someone else in another group might be like, what the fuck's wrong with this person? This person's a weirdo. Oh my God, like this is not worth my time. And I hate to say this, is like there are some people who look at, I don't want to go in this route because it's a long talking point, but those are the people that you end up, you say to them, well, that's not another notch in the belt. And you talk about those people behind their back being like, yeah, it's like you have a better shot.
You're a real son of a bitch.
Well, not me. I never did that kind of shit.
No, of course not. You don't engage in locker room talk. Well, of course.
No.
No, but dude, like, I think, look, like, people shouldn't be mocked for their beliefs. Like, I'm trying to teach my kids, like, look, it doesn't matter if they're Catholic or Jewish. I teach kids about like Jewish, and there's Muslim children out there, and there's
that's what it's called. You're teaching kids about
don't believe it.
Jewish. That it's called Judaism.
No, I said like there's kids. There are people that are Muslim and people that are Jewish. Not I'm teaching them about the Jew or like the Jewish. Like, but yeah, no, there won't be any Israel-Palestine talk on the show. But I'm trying to teach them that people are all different. Like we don't freak out in this house when there's, two dads or two moms. Like, yeah, sometimes there might be a question about it, like especially early on with my daughter, but I don't think like Julian thinks twice about it, and I think that's important, where it shouldn't faze you, to me. Like, it shouldn't faze you to be exposed to things that are different. And I feel you from this standpoint of, well, if I only send my kid to Catholic school, it's like, well, one of the reasons that we are leaving is because lacking diversity. And my kids are like, half white, half Hispanic. So to them, there's only like maybe another 15, 20 kids in the school maximum that like share a little bit of like culture with them. Otherwise, it's predominantly like non-Catholic Armenians, because it's like technically they're like, Christian Orthodox, or like they're more like they have a different.
Yeah, but here's a conflict though. If you leave the school district, let's assume what your numbers are correct, where let's say the majority of those students are Armenian.
No, I mean they are correct.
Okay, so if they're not correct, by you guys leaving, you're not adding to the diverse. If anything, like for every, let's say, one student that leaves because for that fact that the majority of students are Armenian, and then it's like, okay, another Armenian family might move in because they're hearing, oh, there's actually a district where there's a community of Armenians or Lebanese individuals nearby, because that's like, it's again thing. It's like people who have like all these neighborhoods. It's like they're predominantly either, if they're your Mexican neighborhoods to your Italian neighborhoods to like your Chinese, again, like then you only add into your point where it's not going to be and again, gentrification is another thing I'm kind of like on the fence about, my own personal reasons about like gentrifying neighborhoods
because you are white. Yeah, because
not because
gentrifier, not the gentrifyee.
Well, no, it's not because of that. But again, then if anything, like you're gonna basically keep that school one. If you're not adding
hit
to
the
it.
nail on the head, man. Like you are correct. Like, yes, we're not adding to it, but like the part of the thing is like, again, I have a strong personality, man, and I don't want to always force my culture on others. I want to be a part of a culture sometimes. And this was even in the workplace. Like, you know, like I don't necessarily always want to be like the culture guy. It's or like the, you know, like, hey, let's go out and do this guy. But it's like that's an important aspect to any type of environment where it's community building. And you're trying to build fundamentals in children in this, you know, case. So like those types of communities, like seeing parents interact in a good manner and be friendly and go to parties together. Like, you know, like this weekend we have a adults only event, but at the end of the month we're doing a family dance, like mother daughter or mother son daddy daughter. You know, everyone, you know, family dance we're calling it because everyone's invited and we don't want to like, you know, push anybody in a corner. We're not making a deal about it. Like, oh, it's a you know, daddy daughter dance, but like this, you know, person doesn't have, you know, someone in their life, you know, that they share that bond with or like have that relationship with. A lot of their grandparents are there. So like, you know, we're trying to be inclusive and I'm trying to establish a culture, but that shouldn't necessarily be like the parents' job all the time. It needs to be led to me by like the administration. So you know, my motivation is not because it's predominantly one group or excuse me, you know, predominantly this specific group. We're just looking for more diversity in general, dude. And yeah, like, you know, we're not heading into like the most diverse areas, but like the public schools are only Hispanic, right? Because we live in a Hispanic neighborhood. So like, you know, to us, it's just picking the most diverse because I want my kids to be in school with Black students and Black teachers and Hispanic students and Filipino students and Armenian students and white students and kind of see everybody and have a strong understanding that difference is important, right? Like it's not difference is okay or difference is, you know, acceptable or like I accept you. Like fuck you. I don't need your acceptance.
Man,
like,
John, you're going really deep here, man. I'm talking,
dude, because this like to me, this matters, bro. And like you're gonna be picking a school, like, you know, and again, you have a different quality out there. But when you pick a school for your kids, it's a huge decision, man. It really is. You know, and it's so many little things that you won't know until you're there. Like, you know, cleaning the school's budget, like what do they do for like event fees? Do you have an upfront fee for all the events for the year, or do they charge you every month for different events? What's their policy on birthday parties? Like, do you bring stuff in? Do they do once a month, or do they have no birthday parties? You know, where can you get involved? Like the best answer I got when I asked Anthony at the new school, when I said, look, I know you don't have a parent-teacher association. And he says, yeah, we really don't need one. Like, we got everything covered. And I said, that's great. But where can the parents get involved? Like, where do you need the help? And he says, wherever your student wants to get involved. And that was like, hell yeah. They want to play football, be a coach, be a volunteer. They want to do drama or choir, great. Be there to support and build the sets and go, you know, support them in performances and fundraise. Like, do or what the kid wants to do, be there for your kid. Now that's fucking great.
Hey, listen, folks, this is what the power of pickups has happened in John's school district. It has actually affected the diversity in his school, where he can't pick up his kids successfully. It has actually affected the entire gentrification of the school district. That is the power in what John is dealing with right now. The two of them are coinciding.
I mean, look, there's definitely a crossroads here between, you know, the culture that I was mentioning and the parking situation, right? Like if there was a strong culture, people wouldn't like disrespect them.
Oh, here's a question. Would you rather stay in the zone that you're in right now, go to another district and know that it's something very similar is going to happen sooner or later? Or would you rather pick up and go to maybe a place where it's not as highly populated, but the district is better?
I mean,
it's either one or the other. There's no middle ground. It's a hypothetical where it's like, it's one of those cases is like,
I'd pick the quality school.
So you would pick up your family, go to another school. Now, again, the school district could be 100 miles away.
Because I don't have to, but I'm picking the quality. Like,
No,
I'm
I'm
not
saying-
going to send my kid somewhere else. Like, so, like, okay, for example, what you're saying to me is like, all right, if the school's in like Ventura County opposed to Los Angeles County,
It doesn't make a difference where. I'm not giving a
Yeah,
town.
like-
I'm not
yeah,
giving. Any,
I would mean locally, but no, Anthony, I'm not going to uproot my family to put them into
No.
school in Connecticut.
I don't want you to go to Connecticut. I mean, you can go to Denver, Colorado. You can go to Boise, Idaho. I don't know. Like, it could be anywhere. I'm just saying that's the conundrum you're dealt with. Either you do the same thing again, expecting a different result, which is the definition of crazy, or you can actually uproot your family to a different district where this doesn't exist. Now, again, the
Okay,
consequences.
so just to be clear, again,
It's a
we
hypothetical.
go to private Catholic school.
It's hypothetical. Take it as it is.
Within yes, within your hypothetical question, sure, I would move my family to Boise, Idaho, for a better school district, and then I can become mayor of Boise.
Excellent. You heard it here, folks. John Admits Southern California sucks. He's moving to Idaho.
All right, man. I love you, brother. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us on Bigger and Louder. We're going to be coming at you real soon. Stay tuned. Follow and like us on Instagram, and give a shout out to Big Tony for all those new posts he's making. If you want to see anything, make sure you like and comment. All right, everybody. Stay tuned for more. Take care.